Because most of the time, unfortunately, agents do not spend more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes of their time in preparing for the showing. If they can just spend 20 minutes going through the list of properties that they're going to show, right? Learn or memorize some of these numbers, see exactly what was done to that house, maybe have a conversation with the listing agent, ideally having a conversation with the
I
listing
love when
agent,
listing agents
right?
or buyers
And
agents
ask
call.
exactly like, what was done to the house, right? Why they're selling it, all of that stuff. Now you have mental notes, right? Now you're prepared when you're going and opening those doors, right? You are now prepared to share the knowledge about this property, right? Versus a lot of times you get 4 or 5 houses, you don't do that much research, right? You don't do much of homework, and you're just going in and you're just reading
Opening
off,
doors.
opening doors, trying to find the square footage, trying to find, like the HOA information, right? And this is not the experience that the buyers expect to have, right? And you as well as an agent, you got to do better than that. It's the same thing with open houses. It's interesting. Once a month, I stop by open houses, other agents open houses, sometimes my agents open houses, right? And I just want to check them out, like, and see the agents in action. And I tell you, probably about 50% of the agents that are holding open houses don't know that much about the property, don't know that much about their neighborhood. And I get it. Maybe it's not their listing. They're using somebody else's listing to hold an open house.
Right.
But you still have to do your homework, right? There's that saying, preparation meets the opportunity, right? And when I used to hold open houses, I used to prepare myself. Even if it was my geo farm, I still prepared myself. Everything about the house, everything about the neighborhood, everything about what has sold, what's currently active. It takes about 20 minutes, no more than that. But now you're on a completely different level when it comes to your knowledge.
And the why of things. Well, why did this house down the street sell for like 50,000 less than you're listed for? You need to be prepared to answer those questions.
Correct.
Well, it smelled like cigarette smoke, or the kids just wanted it sold and wanted to split up the money. Whatever, find that out.
Yeah.
Find out the whys of what's going on in the neighborhood.
I love it. Awesome. So the first year, you said about 10 of your transactions came from open houses.
Open
right?
houses, 10 open houses, 10 friends and family.
Friends and family.
And 10
from
purchased leads.
Purchase leads, team leads.
Team leads.
Okay. All right. So the open houses, you still do open houses?
I still do open houses.
Interesting.
I held an open house in Desert Hills last year. We got 2 people in the door in Desert Hills.
Yeah.
So way up there.
Yeah.
So the person I met, a $750,000 house in Apache Junction. That's later that same year. I think I owe it to my clients to showcase that their property is there and available. I know there's a lot of contentiousness about open houses. I've met agents, very high-performing agents, that never, ever do them. And that's okay. They run their business a little differently than mine. But when you're also part of the open house, as you and I know, is not about the house. You're selling yourself. And I'll tell you, I had a friend that I would see, and every time I'd go to see her, the lady down the street was holding an open house. If I was not an agent, who do you think I'm going to call to sell my house? That lady that I probably think she was holding that house open 5 days a week.
Yeah.
She was serious about selling that house. She was not going to miss an opportunity to show it to everybody. And it brings attention to the house. But you start relationships, you meet people. And I have agents, nobody came or only 2 people came, and I tell them that thing. Well, those 2 people, for an afternoon of sitting there getting some other work done, I came to a deal. So it's all of those things. And then I see the people that really glom onto people. And I said, look, if you went on a first date and the person on the other end started trying to kiss you, you're going to be like, ugh. I said, you're starting a relationship, and you have to treat those people walking into your open house as such.
Yeah.
You're starting a relationship. You are not an order taker at McDonald's. You don't care about the large fry, small fry. You care about what's going on in their life. Why are they looking? And some people are honest and it's the neighbor and they're just nosy, and that's fine too. Start that relationship. But sometimes it's like, well, we're moving from Idaho and we have 2 kids, because sometimes people will tell you the 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Actually, now when they tell me the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, they're usually an investor. And I'm like, no, I sell retail things. But sometimes they'll tell you that, but that's not the importance. Understanding why they're making the move.
Yeah.
You know, can they qualify for a lot more, but they want to spend less? Do they not have any idea on how much they can spend?
Yeah.
You need to find out their journey and where they are on their journey.
Yeah. 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 So let's do some tactical stuff, right? Like, so open houses, you're holding open houses for how many hours?
I do all day.
All day.
All day.
So like you get there at what time?
I get there at 8, and it's
8 o'clock in the morning
8 o'clock in the morning because
Okay.
it takes me an hour to set up
to
signs.
set it up. Okay. How many signs do you?
20.
So, okay. Wow.
And flags.
And flags.
So, I had a team of 12.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. 72nd Street in Shea. Shea's a busy street. They had held open houses on that house for, I don't know, probably 8 weeks. Nobody came by.
Wow.
So because they didn't do nothing. They probably put 5 or 6 signs out front of the house. It's on Shea Boulevard. It's a main road.
Yeah. People driving 60, 65 miles an hour.
Right. I went down to 72nd Street and whatever the next one over is. I put 20 signs, 2 flags out front, flags on the corner, 10 people in day 1.
Wow.
If you drive by one of my open houses, you will know I'm having an open house. And that's where that previous experience kind of comes in. In fact, when I met my business partner, Sandra and Michelle, we were doing an open house together. So a lot of times I open the house at 9 and then usually stay till 3 or 4 because I like to catch people on a Saturday. They're going out to get stuff from Home Depot. Maybe they're going to lunch. Lunchtime slows down, and then they come back in the afternoon. That's kind of how it's worked out for me. That's what I've noticed. Now, a retirement community, whole different story. Different communities are different.
Yes.
So you've got to pay attention. It's not a hard and fast rule. It's that location. But she came to the open house. It was right over here on. Actually, it's so funny because that buyer, I'm showing their parents' houses now. It's because that's how relationships work. And that was like 4 years ago. But she walked into the open house and she says, Melanie, now I understand why the team says that your open houses are magical. I was like, they'd say it's magical. I thought that was funny. She said they do. They don't know why, but when Melanie holds an open house, there's always lots of people there. And she said, because I got in the vicinity of the house and I didn't need to look at the map. I knew how to get to your open house.
Interesting.
No matter which way you're coming from, there's a sign ahead, a sign at the corner, 2 flags at the corner, signs reminding you. I mean, they're taking their time to turn off and go and see your open house. You got to get them there.
And are you the one who's putting out signs, or you have
I've got to
someone
work
else?
on that. I try to have people.
So you're doing it yourself.
I literally do it myself.
So get this. This real estate professional closed 60 transactions in 2024, and she's still putting out her own open house signs.
Because you've got to kind of judge. I've got to look at the line of sight. If it's angled, I mean, it's very. I do it very precise. And
love it.
sometimes, of course, you change your mind. If you have a long road, you're going to have reminders. I do. If I had a sign service that I can trust, I know they're out there. But I'm not sure how it's got to be hard to coordinate. And I will tell you that, sometimes I get helpers. But I've seen people put open house signs where the arrow is in the wrong direction. It's parallel with the road instead of
Can't see it.
perpendicular. You can't see it. And
So 20 signs, all right.
At least.
A couple of flags, right?
Yes.
You get there at 8 o'clock. It takes you about an hour to set up.
It does.
You
It
start
takes
your
an
open house at 9 a.m. until
Yes.
about 3 to 4 o'clock.
Yep.
So what are you doing, let's say, when someone walks in?
When someone's walk in, I welcome them.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see them.
Is there like a script or like a few questions that you usually ask?
My biggest thing is, it's kind of a twist on what brings you in today. I'll just say, so my biggest one is, so did you just start looking?
Yeah.
You want to be careful of
Yeah.
asking yes or no questions because they'll just give you a yes,
Yeah,
yes
yeah,
or no.
yeah.
So Aaron Hodson or Hodges, I think it's Hodson. He is one of, the Tom Ferry, all the different people. He says, hello, my name is Melanie, and then you just quiet and you look in their eyes.
Ah,
And they can't help but tell you their name 9 times out of 10.
interesting.
So you're starting that personal relationship.
Interesting.
And I do have a sign out book there, but I don't say, you got to sign in.
Okay.
And I know that's hard. And some sellers, especially in an occupied house, I want to know everybody was here. So that I'm not a stickler to that. I'm not saying it's wrong to be a stickler to that. I'm just not a stickler to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I've seen cute things like I'll send you a Starbucks gift card when you put down your name. I've seen those cute things, but I'm not into that. I have some goodie and tchotchkes there.
Yeah.
But and then I say, I tell you what, I hand them a flyer if
Yeah.
they're open for that. And I said, you go look at the house. I don't, if it's very clear, I'm not going to say there's a bedroom there and
Yeah.
this is the kitchen. Not going to say that. If it's not so clear, I'll say, the master bedroom is downstairs. There's 3 more bedrooms upstairs. You go take a look, and I'm going to just follow along just in case you have questions.
Interesting. And you're also probably doing that for security, for safety reasons, right?
Absolutely. You do not want someone behind you.
Yeah.
And obviously, in an occupied house, you can't leave them alone. But I don't
Sure.
want them to feel like I'm following them around
Yeah.
so they don't steal the china. Or
Got it.
nobody wants china.
So how do you get their information?
We start talking.
So you're just building rapport. You're
Building
making
rapport,
connection. You find
making
some
connection.
commonalities or whatever that is, right?
They're like, yeah, but we just go. I've had people that are like, we just keep going to open houses, and I was like, well, has there been a house that's popped up that you'd want to see that's not on an open house? Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm a full-time realtor. I'm happy to go show you that house. I can sell you any house in Arizona.